Hello, everyone, and what I'd like to talk about now is just some just want to make sure that you know what to do about the assignment for next week. I perhaps could have just first we could maybe look at our schedule. I could have done this differently, but I can sort of show you here we have our schedule. Here we have our timeline. Um, so you are going to your here we are on uh, it is the 12th of November. Um, I'm sorry, tomorrow. It is, well, it depends on your class. Here we are at the end of the week. Here it's going to be the 12th of the 13th of November. And next week, on the same day of um, by next week's class, either going to be the either the 19th or the 20th of um, of November. You are going to hand in. I'll just get rid of that. You're going to hand in your written assignment that that is described here, right? So if you understand what you're supposed to do, you don't really even have to listen to this sort of description, but it might help you. So the idea is you're going to write a story, right? And you can, any story will do. It's not a, if you're a gifted writer, that'll hopefully help you. But this is it's just the story is a convenient way to kind of practice. And by the way, it could be if you want to make a make believe story, if you want to tell a real story, or if you want to write about a historical event, that's fine, right? Those are all. I could say narrative, but I think narrative is kind of sometimes. It's not that fancy of a word, but I don't want to mix things up with a fancy word. But any kind of narrative or story, whether it be it could be a real story, it could be a historical narrative, or it could be a story that you just make up. Um, so you're going to do this because it's a really great way to sort of put into practice a lot of these verb forms we've seen. So what you're going to do is and every time you have a verb phrase, I'm going to ask you to underline it, right? And then I'm going to ask you to, so that's your first thing. So every verb phrase you underline, right? And then you're for each so if you've underlined it, right, and then afterwards, right, you're going to indicate the verb form. You're going to say it's a present perfect simple. You're going to say here's the example, and these are the possibilities. I've listed all the possibilities. Present perfect simple, simple past. Um, I'm sorry, that's a mistake. I'm going to correct that. Once again, excuse me. I'm sorry. It's either going to be a simple present, simple past, present continuous, past continuous, use 2 plus verb stem, be used 2 plus verb ing, present perfect, or present perfect continuous. Or once again, I'm sorry, it could be a past perfect continuous. Let me correct that. And then so that's just the basic thing. You identify the verb phrase and by underlining it, right? Okay, and then say what kind of a verb phrase. What's the verb? Is it a simple present, simple past? And so you need to just label them, really. And then and then in some cases, this is what 3 and 4 about. In some cases, um, I'm going to give you a little bit more information about what kind of or how the verb form is used. For example, if you have a simple past, mostly a simple past, right? You're going to ask if it is a state, if it's a state verb, atemporal. That is only for the present, by the way. If you're talking about a habit or characteristic, if you're talking about a future scheduled event, which is very rare, which I might include. Oh no, I've already indicated that before. Future scheduled event, if it's a performative, or if we're just using it's just a narrative. You basically use to tell a story. And then we've discussed these different ways that we use these verbs. And by the way, they're listed once again on the famous Verb Basics document. We've seen these a lot on the table, so you can just kind of go back to the table Well, you can consult your notes, but the also of course, but the table might be sort of a handy point of reference, right? So once again, if you have sort of a simple past, then you need to give that information. And if you have a present perfect continuous, I'd also like you to give a present continuous or a past continuous. Sorry. I'd actually like to give you other information about the ways that it's used. Are we talking about an action happening now? First case, exceptional behavior. Are we talking about a future planned event? Are we talking about background events, interrupted action, right? And once again, these we've seen these before, and you can once again find these in that on the same page in that verb basics document. So maybe I'll just give an example, and also you have to use these verb forms in the indicated ways if there is one at least once. That means you need to use at least one in your story, and of course since it's going to be a story, you're going to have probably a lot of these. Since it's a story, it's a narrative, you want to use the simple past in the narrative way. Use the simple past with the state verb. Use the simple past when you're talking about a past habit. Use the past continuous when you're talking about a background event, interrupted action. Use the past continuous when we're talking about sort of exceptional behavior, which we've seen before. Use the used to construction, used to plus a verb stem. Use the be used to plus verb ing construction. Only you're going to want to use the present perfect once in the present perfect continuous, and also a past perfect. So you can use all of these verb forms at least once. Okay, so that's going to sort of dictate how long your story is going to be, in a sense. I would say 1-page story should do it. That would be sort of an appropriate length. I would prefer you to write little and well, right, than to write a lot and not well. Because don't write more than a page. A page should really be too long. This is really going to be an exercise in being concise and accurate, really being precise and being careful, and really paying special attention to these verb forms. So really pay a lot of attention to your verb constructions. We went to great length to say yes, you always have if you have the have plus verb in construction, you really have to obey that construction. If you combine constructions, you always have to obey those constructions, and you have to be sure that there's only one conjugated verb and that it agrees with the subject. We've talked about things, but make sure that you correct this yourself. Now, just to show you what this might look like, let's say our first sentence would be Jake, I could say Jake put his jacket on. Okay, I could say, and so what am I going to do there? I'm going to sort of underline this. So I've indicated it, right? Okay, and then I'm going to say, maybe I could do this like probably in the next sentence. I'm trying to think of how I could indicate this. I could just have maybe parentheses. Why not, right? And so I'm going to say simple past, and then that's a narrative, and that's it. Okay, and the next sentence I could say it was cold outside. So I'm going to say simple past, and then that's going to be a state. Okay, I'm going to say I could say the cars were speeding by outside, right? And that's a sentence. And I'm going to say that is going to be a past continuous, and that's going to be what kind of use of the past continuous? That's going to be a background event / interrupted action. Okay, I'm not going to get into these explanations. We've done this before, and so you're not to do this in any order, right? So you could maybe go through and say, oh, okay, check, I've done that. Let's say check. Okay, I have a state. That's good. I have an. So then then you have to use these other ways. Okay, um, I hope that's clear. And now, if you have, let's say, a problem, if you can't really, let's just say, if you finish your story and you said, oh, I haven't been able to fit in a present perfect continuous, just give me. Okay, here's the idea. You can write two spaces and just give me a sentence with the present perfect or the present perfect continuous, and that would be suffice. That would suffice. And notice these are your own sentences. If you copy stuff, I'll find it. I'll know it's not you. You know, the whole idea is this is about you working on your own writing. So it should be a, fairly open. It's a fairly open exercise and one that will enable you to, um, how to say, put into practice these things we've learned. Okay, so take care. Good luck with your assignment, and you are supposed to obviously hand this in next week by using the Moodle application for next week. There will be when you go to the Moodle page, that should all be fairly clear on how to do it. It's also going to be there will be information on here. It's really important that you label your file correctly. That's with your last name. I will. There will be information that I'm going to write right now on how to do that, and really be sure to do that. So thank you and take care.